Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, Karen employee judges me by my clothes, misses out on huge sales commission. I don't typically buy a lot of designer clothing, but when I do go shopping, I dress pretty casually. Last week, I was strolling through the mall and there was a designer backpack on display that caught my attention. I went inside the store, wearing a hoodie and ripped jeans, and I went to inquire about the price of the backpack. I waited around for 10 minutes for someone to help me until I decided to go up to one of the sales representatives myself. She told me to wait because she was helping another customer, so I sat down and waited. I saw her in the corner of the store just standing, not doing anything. I decided to wait another 5 minutes for her to come help me, but she never did. I walked back up to her and I told her I wanted to ask about the backpack. I asked her if she could bring one from the back room so I could take a closer look at it. She told me that she wouldn't be able to do that unless I was planning on purchasing it. She seemed annoyed with my request. Before I could say anything else, she quickly walked away to help another customer. I'm quite young, 25 female, and I could tell that she didn't think I was serious about purchasing it, and she didn't want to waste her time. I would have actually purchased it then and there if she hadn't been so dismissive. A few days later, I went back into the store. This time, I made sure to dress even more casually than before. I walked in with a pair of sweatpants, running shoes, a tank top, and a zip-up. The same lady was working that day and turned her back to me as soon as I walked in. I went up to one of the other sales representatives. This guy was younger, smiling, and seemed eager to help me, and I told him that I wanted to purchase the backpack, and he gladly went inside and got one for me. He even asked me if I'd like to take a look at it before buying. I thanked him, and he checked me out. The store manager was also by the cashier, and I let him know that I came in last week and that this lady wouldn't even let me see the product before purchasing it. He was upset to hear this, and he told me this wasn't the first time he had got a complaint about her. The item was a few grand, and all of the commission went towards the junior. He was so kind and grateful. She avoided eye contact with me after she got told off by her manager, and I smiled at her as I walked out of the door. Lesson: don't judge a book by its cover. I'm supposed to fly home for Christmas in a few days, and the family staying at my house is now saying they aren't leaving. At the start of October, a good friend of mine asked if I'd be willing to let some friends of his wife stay at my house for a month or so while I wasn't there. I split time between the US and Ireland. I had only met these people once at a party a few years ago. This friend doesn't ask for favors very often, and there was a family in need, so I was happy to help. They were supposed to be gone by December 3rd, but whatever they had lined up never happened. They're now saying they had nowhere to go and they won't be leaving. I've arranged to stay with a family member for a couple of weeks over Christmas, but I'm fuming. You try to do the right thing and you get done over. My friend is mortified and extremely apologetic, but I understand that it's not his fault. I've already put in a call to my solicitor, so I don't need advice. I'm just ranting. Update: I heard back from the solicitor, and in short, I'm done for. He said while I am legally entitled to physically remove them from the property if needed, doing so a day or two before Christmas is a really bad idea. The optics won't be good for me if videos etc. get posted online, especially if the police show up. He basically said it will boil down to whatever police show up and what they decide on the day. If I physically remove them from the property, I'm almost guaranteed that some form of legal action will be taken against me, and while it likely won't go anywhere, I'll be paying thousands in legal fees to get it sorted. His advice for now is to see what happens when my friend talks to them tomorrow, and if necessary, offer them a few thousand in cash to leave peacefully. I'll try and post another update tomorrow, but I can't respond because this stress is becoming too much. Update: they're going to leave the house and stay in an Airbnb or hotel for a few days because both parents work in Dublin, and stay with a family member over Christmas who doesn't live in Dublin. My friend and his wife had to talk to them, and they're going to leave by tomorrow at noon, and she's going to assist them with moving to make sure they leave. Basically, when they couldn't find a place to live, they panicked and stuck their head in the sand, and they were stressed about being homeless for Christmas. They're extremely apologetic for the stress and for all the troubles that they've caused. They seem to be genuinely good people who just didn't know what to do and got overwhelmed. To answer some of the questions people asked, no, they weren't paying any rent or utilities. That was purposeful on my part to avoid the type of situation I'm in now. Basically, they're guests and non-paying guests. This is a small part of why this whole situation was so upsetting. I not only gave them a place to live, but also paid all of the utilities for the 2 months they've been here. There was no lease and nothing signed. I didn't even meet them face to face. I've had one video call with them about where to find things in the house. Other than that, all communication with them has been via text and email. While many will call me stupid for this, they've known my friends for over 20 years. They're a family and they have 3 kids who are under the age of 10. I know a lot of people were recommending using some muscle and threats to get them out, but I'm not comfortable doing that to a family. If they didn't have any kids, I would have had people remove them yesterday. I also want to enjoy Christmas and have my kids enjoy it. For that reason, moving into the house while there's lots of tension, etc., and attempts to upset them was never an option to me. The solicitor did tell me I could legally remove them, but also warned me that it might not go well. As for those who think I should fall out with my friends over this, no, it's not their fault, and they never dreamed that this fiasco would occur. They're beyond embarrassed that this whole situation came about, all because they asked for a favor. I only asked my sister about staying with her as a backup. I was panicked yesterday and wanted to ensure we had a place to stay if worse came to worst. I've changed my own flight home to arrive a day earlier than planned to make sure that they're gone and the house is in good order before my wife and kids arrive. The saddest part here is that if this family had talked to me about this properly and hadn't caused all this hassle, I most likely would have let them stay over the holidays. There's a huge second room in the house that has a toilet and a shower attached. It's about 55 square meters, and I would have let them stay there and use the kitchen or laundry as needed. I don't have the patience or goodwill to extend that offer anymore in light of everything that's happened. Am I the jerk for laughing at a customer? I work at an animal shelter, and I had a customer come in who I remembered from a few weeks ago. A man who had adopted this cat named Nelson. I remember this because Nelson was one of the few cats we listed as sensitive, so we know to keep them in a private room where they won't be bothered by crazy younger cats, because he came from a home where there were issues. Due to this, he's extremely skittish and he can misbehave on occasion. The man came in with Nelson in the carrier and came to the front desk asking to talk to our manager and that he had a complaint. I asked him what the complaint was, but he insisted he wanted to talk to the manager, Alan, who helped him pick Nelson out. It takes me a few minutes to find Alan because we're all generally all over the place here, and when we come back, Alan asks the guy what the issue is. Is the cat sick, or did it hurt you, etc.? General things we ask people who roll up trying to return a pet. In most cases, we can work it out and make sure the animal doesn't have to be returned. I stuck around because I wanted to hear what this guy was trying to return the cat for because I'm nosy. He said, "He refuses to listen to any order I give him." Alan and I were a bit puzzled and asked what he meant. Alan said, "Well, we don't have his full training history, but most cats know the general word no because of the tone behind it. Have you tried?" The guy cut him off and said, "He's choosing not to listen to me. I told him the rules when we got home, and he's ignored every single one." The guy went on a rant saying how the cat was told to use a litter box, but he goes on the floor multiple times. How he told the cat to not go into the spare room, but he still does, and so on. Right then it clicked to me. This guy thinks the cat understands what he's saying. I asked him, "Wait, do you think the cat can understand you? Like, he understands the words you say to him?" The man tilted his head at me and looked at me like I was an idiot and said, "He's choosing not to. That's the issue." I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing so hard I almost teared up. That's just never anything I've ever heard of. Someone genuinely thinking animals can understand what a human was saying like they were also human. Long story short, I was told to leave the room by Alan, who figured out the issue, and I did kind of feel like a jerk after, because I guess the guy had never had a pet before and hadn't really been around animals other than a few well-trained dogs, and he legit thought animals could understand you. My boss wasn't mad at me at all, but told me I acted very unprofessional, which I do agree to some extent. I don't think I was a jerk, but I know I maybe should have not laughed so hard. I was on kennel duty the next 2 days. I shouldn't have laughed in front of him, but I couldn't help it. Edit. The cat was returned, but in this case, it seemed to be the best outcome. Also, shelters aren't always the worst situation for an animal. We love our babies at our shelter. Edit 2. I'll update when he finds his forever home. I would take him myself, but I have a 13-year-old cat and a 2-year-old lab, so it's not the ideal house for the little guy. Update. Our boy Nelson has found his forever home. He got adopted 8 days ago, and I've been waiting to see if it stuck before posting. Nelson became a top priority to adopt out as he was one of our most difficult but favorite cats that we took care of. He became pet of the month and got the attention of an older gentleman who came in, get this, with a printed out copy of our Facebook post. It was very adorable of him. This man automatically took us as a great candidate for Nelson, since he was an experienced cat owner. He had a bit of a sad story. His wife passed last year, and their 18-year-old tabby passed 4 months ago. He was very lonely and wanted to get a new friend, but didn't want to get a young cat. He's older and doesn't have the energy to take care of a demanding cat. Nelson was absolutely perfect. I've seen very heartwarming moments with pets and their new families, but this one was over the top. As you guys may remember, Nelson is a cranky cat that you can't help but love. He's not really nice, and he is standoffish, but I kid you not, when we brought him into the meeting room, he pranced over to the man and hopped up into his lap. My jaw almost hit the floor. After 30 minutes of Nelson celebrating, they went off back to his new home. The man has sent us updates on Nelson since then, and it seems to be going very, very well. I guess he speaks cat. And here's a pic of Nelson. Am I the jerk for telling my fiance's friends that they can't organize a party for his birthday because I already have plans? So my fiance, 28 male, and I, 27 female, have been together for 6 years. We're in the middle of planning our wedding, but that's besides the point right now. He's the love of my life and the best mate in the world, and I want him to be happy. So we live in a city that's close to some beautiful hills. Sometimes we go for drives in those hills. There's one little town that my fiance loves, even though he's never actually stayed there. It's his birthday next Friday, so I decided to take him on a mini holiday to that town. I found a cute hotel and researched and organized some activities that I know he'll love. We'll stay from Friday to Monday. I talked to his boss, and he agreed to let my fiance take 2 days off, but won't say anything to keep it a surprise. So yesterday, one of his friends messaged me and told me about a party they've been organizing for my fiance, and asked me to guide him to it without giving it away. The party was supposed to be on Friday night. I told them that we'll be out of town Friday night, but I'd help them throw it on Thursday. His friends then started blowing up my phone, telling me that it's uncool to take him away on his birthday without prior warning or discussing it with him, and that he'd probably rather spend his birthday having a beer with the boys instead of doing boring couple stuff. After some back and forth, I told them to buzz off and that they should have consulted with me and not the other way around. They said that they're going to tell my fiance about both of our plans so that he can decide what he wants to do. I asked them not to, as I went to great lengths to keep it a surprise, but they said it's only fair, and I should have remembered that they might want to do something, and that most of them have known him for longer than I have. I feel like I shouldn't have to ask for permission to take my fiance on a trip on his birthday, but maybe I should. Update. First things first, the surprise was not ruined. We got to go, and my fiance loved it. I followed your advice and told him that I had something planned that clashed with the plans his mates made, and that they are now threatening to ruin the surprise. I offered to tell him what I had planned, but he shut that down pretty quickly. He then called one of the boys and asked them what was wrong with them to pull this stunt, and that they should know by now that our birthday surprises are a very important part of our relationship and something we look forward to the whole year. After a rather lengthy talk with his mate, it turned out that the boys wanted one last big crazy birthday party before he got married, as they all felt like he was drifting away from them and that his priorities shifted. Fiance then told him that it's normal for priorities to shift when you're in a long-term relationship. He made it known that he was very disappointed with the boys' behavior towards me and that they needed to apologize. Apart from that, we had a wonderful weekend. We loved it and even ordered a blanket with his favorite photos of the trip on it. My fiance didn't go to the boys' night though last week, as no one had apologized to me. I guess that showed them that he was serious, and most of them called or messaged me afterwards with an apology, except for one bloke. Everyone apart from him will be coming to ours for a barbecue next week, and we're both hoping to be able to move past this rather unpleasant experience. I'm sorry. OP's significant other is standing up for them in a social conflict and actually being a good and supportive partner? I must be on the wrong subreddit today. My girlfriend broke down in tears because I didn't get one item from our grocery list. We were supposed to have supper. Let's say spaghetti with cheese on top. Not really, but I don't want to get too specific, and I didn't get the cheese. Some might say that it ruins the whole dish. Some might not care too much if it's not there. So we were out shopping together, and as we're going down the grocery list, I ask my girlfriend if we want cheese, to which she says no. We finish shopping, go back home, and I start making the dish while she showers. She gets out. I let it simmer for a bit and I go shower. Once I get out of the shower and I'm about to serve it, she suddenly asks if we bought cheese. I look at her and say we didn't. I say I even asked her if we should get it and she said no. She says she thought I was asking her about something else. To be fair, what I asked her and what she said she heard is different by one syllable in our language, and both of these things could go together with the dish I made. I assume that she did mishear me. At this point, she gets up and says she's not going to eat it. She's got leftovers from the fridge and went to the other room to eat. I figured it was best to let her be alone for a while, so I ate part of what I made for the evening. After some time, I go to check on her and she's laying in bed crying her eyes out. I was taken aback as this was not a reaction I expected at all. I tried talking to her, but she both refused to eat it without cheese and didn't want me to go and get it now. She was extremely upset and still crying a lot. She even told me she was very hungry and didn't eat much throughout the day, and now she feels even worse because we went shopping together, then she waited for me to put the dish together, but in the end, she couldn't even eat it. I know it sucks to not eat much throughout the day, so I could kind of understand where she was coming from. I decided at this point in time, there's not much else I could do but go and get the cheese, which I did. I come back and found her eating some snack we had left. I asked her if she would like to eat now, that we can heat it up, but she adamantly refuses to eat that dish and doesn't want to talk with me either. She earlier said she's going to be sleeping on the couch tonight. If she goes through with it, remains to be seen. I'm wondering what I could do to try and remedy the situation. Do I just let her be? I'm struggling to fully understand her point of view. As for me, it doesn't matter if it's a particular ingredient is missing or not. To some extent, I see where she's coming from, but not fully. Thoughts? Oh man, one time I was stressed out about a million things. I didn't sleep well, and I burst out in tears because a place was out of bagels. I'm guessing something else is going on with your girlfriend because that is a wildly disproportionate reaction to something mildly disappointing. The cheese is not the issue here. Sometimes if your plate is overflowing with stress, one simple meal you're looking forward to that didn't go as expected can crack that plate. I once had a last dinner with a long-term boyfriend before we broke up. I had leftovers. I was so stressed during that meal that I couldn't hardly eat, so I was looking forward to eating it the next day. My roommate's guest ate it. I cried over some pasta. There's always another reason, but she might not even know why. She was disappointed. Imagine if the boyfriend was the one who burst into tears over something like this. Do you think everyone would still be making excuses for him, or would they be calling him a man-child? This is how it always is. Girlfriend is acting like an idiot. Oh, there's deeper meaning to this. You need to find out what's going on with her. Guy acts the same way? Red flags, run. Bruh, I don't care if it's the boyfriend or the girlfriend. Anybody who acts this exhausting to be around, I ain't got time for that. My sister-in-law wants to name her daughter the same name as mine, but spelt differently. I'm 30, female, and my husband is male 32. We have one daughter, Madeline, who's 8. I have a sister-in-law, Jasmine, who's 32, and she's been having infertility issues for a while now. Jasmine and I aren't that close, but we are friendly to each other. She got pregnant a few months ago, and she had her gender reveal party about 2 weeks ago. Everyone was so excited and happy when we found out she was having a girl. During this year's family Christmas dinner, she announced that she was going to name her kid Madeline, but spelled differently, of course, as if that made it any better. Her daughter's name was going to be Madeline. I was completely shocked. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect that Jasmine would want to name her kid Madeline as well. If she told me before we named our daughter, I probably would have taken that into consideration before naming her. I asked Jasmine why she would want to name her daughter the same name as mine, and she said that technically it wasn't the same name since it was going to be spelled different. She also said that her great-aunt's name was also Madeline, and that she thought that Madeline was a cute name. I was really upset and told her she could have just told me before I named my daughter that she also wanted to name her daughter Madeline. She said that I was always such a jerk and that I probably would have named my daughter Madeline either way. I don't even know what I ever did to this woman. I then asked what we were going to do about the confusion of them having the same name, and she told me we could use my daughter's middle name. Like, what? I told her if anything, we should be calling her daughter by her middle name, since my daughter came first. We went back and forth a few more times before I decided to leave early with my husband and Madeline. My daughter was also pretty confused and asked why her aunt would want to name her daughter the same name as her. I'm still really upset, and I hope she changes her mind, But this morning, my brother-in-law texted me and said that I should try to better understand Jasmine and her feelings. I texted him back and told him that she should stop being such a jerk and try to understand my feelings instead. I really don't think I'm a jerk, but am I? So, your daughter and your niece now share the same name. Big deal. I'm pretty sure you'll find Madeline's in her school. Will you ask them to change their names as well? I don't know if you've ever heard of something called a telephone book used before. If you open it up, you'll find plenty of people named Madeline. Will you ask them to change their names as well? Your feelings here don't matter, so quit trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, burning bridges over a name. You're the jerk. Today I messed up by taking naps under my office desk during work hours. I'm a civil engineer. I work in the engineering industry, which is one of the complicated technical industries. Sometimes at night, I review work reports before submitting them the next day. I have to make sure everything is 100% correct and safe. I start reviewing late, like at 12 a.m. or 1 a.m., then finish around 4 a.m. Mind you, this is during nights, especially when I'm dealing with a project with tight deadlines and complicated. The writing of the reports are of course earlier, like days earlier. My office has a desk. I've been taking naps under it for quite a while actually. I moved the desk to a unique location, back in the corner of the office, facing the door. Since I'm a civil engineer, my work also requires outdoor work. So on days where I spent the night reviewing, I come to the department manager and tell her that I'm going outside to check on projects. She gives me the green light. What do? I go to my office, close the door. Offices can't be locked, but closed in my organization. Then I take a nap. I have my pillow and blanket under the desk. The desk is wide enough and big enough to take a nap there. Since it's a big city with traffic, assuming I'm outside, my naps are usually 30 to 40 minutes, sometimes 1 hour. A lot of the time, my team, also engineers, look for me because we work on group projects, but I was taking naps, which slowed down the work and their productivity. One day, my team was looking for me when I was taking a nap. They were looking for a project document that we worked on. I heard them, and I heard the manager's voice. They entered my office. I can feel my face under the desk was turning red. I was hoping that they would leave. Unfortunately, the project documents were inside my desk drawer. So they and the manager walked to check the desk drawer, and I was caught. All of them looked disappointed, and I didn't know what to do. I just stared at them while I'm down at the desk. It was the most awkward moment of my life. The most disappointed was my department manager. All she said was, "My office, now." She gave me a formal written warning and assigned additional responsibilities. Maybe it's just me being European, but have you thought about maybe working only during business hours? That's a very European concept. My friend, 40 male, keeps asking that I do chores in my own house, 32 female. He's staying on my couch for free. My friend lost his apartment when his dad passed. He had nowhere to go. I allowed him to stay on my couch until he gets his own place. He does not pay rent. However, since my friend moved in, he's been complaining I don't pick my stuff up right away. I work a lot of hours. Yes, I'll leave dishes, but not for long periods of time. Just have no desire to get to dishes after 11-hour shifts. My friend will mosey over and complain about dishes not being done. He will also do this with a few items in my bedroom. He tries to tell me to do the dishes or expects me to do them or clean my room. To this, I usually say, this is my apartment. I'm going to clean when I feel like it because, I'm the tenant. He gets frustrated thinking I should have the same mentality as him and even goes as far as to accuse me of taking advantage of him or something. He says, "Oh, so because it's your place, I should have to get treated this way? Huh?" He then mumbles statements at me about how he can't wait to not be around me at all. I'm confused to what I'm doing wrong or why he feels taken advantage of. He acts like he's in this really horrible situation, not having me do my own dishes right away. He states he has no say in anything, but I feel he's trying to tell me what to do in my own house. I can't help but feel like he's the one trying to be controlling. I mean, he wants to tell me what to do, which is clean my own stuff. He's the only one trying to tell me what to do, but I just don't let it happen. Do you think I'm manipulating this guy? Do not let him have any say in things, or is he just messed up? The only thing you're doing wrong is putting up with this entitled, selfish, judgmental, unappreciative, bad friend. He's mooching off of you and living there for free. He should be cleaning up after himself and you as a thank you. Kick him out, and don't let people take advantage of you anymore. Karen's sister stole my iPad. She ends up really regretting it. I'm 17, female, and my sister, who's 15, has the habit of taking things from my bedroom and keeping them or losing them. My father has talked to her, grounded her, made her pay them back for it, but she just doesn't listen. My mom always takes her side and makes excuses for her. My dad had enough, so he bought me a small safe, against my mom's wishes, and I keep some jewelry, makeup, my diary, and gifts from my boyfriend, who's 19, Caleb. Caleb comes from an upper-class family, and he's always buying me stuff. Most of it gets stolen by my sister, but the most precious gift I have from him is an iPad Pro he gave me for my 17th birthday on February 14th. I love to draw. It's my hobby, my form of expression and how I relax. I used to do it on my laptop, but since Cal gave me the iPad, now I can do it in my free time during classes, in the train, or the garden. I have more options now. Cal also made a custom case that he painted with a lot of things for me. When I'm out of home, I leave it in my safe because it's one of the only things I don't want to lose. And to be honest, I don't want my sister putting her hands on it. I spent 2 days at my brother's, who's 21, apartment planning my little sister's birthday party. When I came back, I went to take the iPad to sketch some ideas, but I only found the case. I thought I had left it somewhere else, but I was sure I didn't. I also never took the case because it's my favorite thing. I looked around my whole room, my dad's office, and the garden, since I'm usually there all the time. I also called Cal and asked if I left it in his house, but he said no. When my family came back, I was awfully crying in the kitchen. My dad asked what happened, and I told him I couldn't find my iPad. My mom said very lazily, "Your sister lost it on the train yesterday." I asked, "What?" And she said, "Your sister took it to school and lost it. Accidents happen. Let it go." I was livid. I said that my sister opened my safe, don't know how, and stole my tablet. My mom told me to shut up and to never call my sister a thief again. My dad got involved, and after much fighting, he said that my sister had to pay me back. My sister just said that she didn't have money and attempted to go to her room, so I told her that I'll take the money for her party and just keep it for my iPad. She came right at me and told me that I couldn't do it. My mom sided with her and demanded the money, but I said, "No, she owes me. I get to keep it," and ran to my room. My father said that I could do it and buy another one. My brother transferred the money a few hours ago, and it's sitting in Cal's account because I don't have one yet. My sister has been crying because she just lost her Sweet 16 party and says a tablet is worth much less than that. ETA, my brother is coming home in around 20 minutes to talk to my parents. I don't know why, but it might be about my sister. Cal is also on his way here to install the lock. ETA, my brother took my parents and my sister out. I'm at home with Cal right now. He already installed the lock, and we're looking to buy some safes. Update, my brother just left. Apparently, my sister has been stealing from him too when she goes to his place. She admitted to just keeping the things to herself and that sometimes she can't help it. She acts before she can think about it. She admitted that she took my iPad, but claimed that her intention wasn't hurting me. That's why she left the case. She was planning on taking it to school, bragging about it, and then returning it since it was way too expensive and for once didn't want to take the risk. But apparently she did lose it or someone took it from her bag because she swears she didn't sell it or anything. I mean, after this, it's just pointless to keep lying. She went to her room and came back with a bunch of things, some mine, some my brother's, and some that belonged to our cousins and her friends. She even had one of Caleb's rings. We don't know how she did all of this, and she refuses to give that information. She also refuses to tell me how she broke into my safe. My parents are outside talking alone, and my dad let Caleb spend the night here with me. Not the jerk. If she cared about her Sweet 16 so much, she shouldn't be stealing. OP. Maybe she didn't think it would be related to that. To be honest, this is my first time snapping, so it's new to all of us. Am I the jerk for being too close to my ex-husband? 6 years ago, I got divorced from my now ex-husband. There was no drama that led to this. We simply realized we were no longer happy or in love, so it would have been a clean break if not for the fact we had a daughter who is now 11. Neither of us wanted to lose full custody of her or miss important moments in her life. She's the most important person in both our lives, and we debated on trying to make it work just for her. but realized that would only lead to all three of us becoming miserable. So we entered an arrangement that many would view as unconventional. When we sold our house, we used the money to buy two semi-attached houses that were joined and had a door installed between them. The construction company tried to warn us against this as it would affect resale value, but neither of us had any intention to sell, so we had them go ahead with it. We also had them take down the fence between both our back gardens so our daughter would have an extra large back garden to play in. Many of you may balk at the door, but there is an agreement. It's strictly for our daughter's use, and neither of us can use it barring any emergencies, say a fire, a medical emergency, or something being wrong with our daughter. She also has 2 bedrooms, one in each house, and every day she can pick where she wants to have breakfast, dinner, and sleep. I won't lie, it was awkward at first, but for her sake we made it work and even regained a lot of the friendship we had lost, though it was of course strictly platonic now. Last year, my ex-husband married his girlfriend of 3 years, a lovely woman who I'm actually friends with, and I was even a guest at their wedding, with my daughter being one of her bridesmaids. All in all, it's an arrangement everyone is content with, except for my boyfriend, who I started to date 2 years ago. He understood the arrangement entering into the relationship, and while he said it was a bit weird, he never protested and all seemed well. Things are getting more serious, and we've been discussing moving in together, and he has made it clear that he wants me to move as he doesn't want to live next door to my ex-husband. I understood, but told him that wouldn't be happening, as my daughter had to come first, and our arrangement gave her a stable upbringing. He got upset with me and asked me how he was supposed to be a father to my daughter when she already had a dad and he was literally a wall away. I won't lie, this took me by surprise, as I had no idea he wanted to be a father to her. I told him gently but firmly that he wasn't her father, that she already had one, and that even her father's wife didn't try to be a mother. Instead, she is called by her name. I told him if he wants some kind of familial title, he could be an uncle, but I wouldn't give him permission to take her father's title when he is very much involved in her life. He told me if I loved him, I'd move for him, and despite me trying to tell him I do love him, he isn't listening. Am I the jerk in this? Not the jerk. Sounds like you very clearly explained how things work in your world. Kudos for coming up with a unique parenting method that puts your daughter firmly as the most cherished outcome of your previous relationship. Your new boyfriend may not be compatible with your uniquely blended family. Bit of a red flag that he wants to appropriate the title of father. Good on you for nipping that in the bud. Well done, carry on. Without him, if he can't get the brief. OP. Even my ex-husband's wife doesn't get called mom or any variation of that. She is called by her name, and when my daughter is feeling particularly affectionate, a nickname. So yeah, I wasn't going to let him be father. Not the jerk, since you were honest with him from the beginning, and your boyfriend's "you don't love me" arguments seem to be his ego and insecurity speaking. Not gonna lie, but love the fact that you two put the love for your kid and her having some stability before your own egos and needs. Hope you have the strength and mental sanity to keep doing that, even if that would mean breaking up with your unreasonable boyfriend. Do him a favor and break up with him. He isn't going to be happy. You and your ex did this thing, and your ex is lucky he found someone who didn't have a problem with it. You may not be so lucky, but that is a chance that you're taking doing this. It's hard to move on, and most people are not going to want to pursue a relationship with this kind of arrangement. That works for you and you're happy with it, then that's good. There's no way to compromise here. You aren't budging, so break up with this guy and let him go. Actually, I would argue that hopefully any emotionally mature adult would see the beauty in this arrangement. Imagine getting involved with someone and you see firsthand how well they resolve such an issue and how they are able to make an unusual decision that ends up being the best for everyone involved. OP sounds like a catch to me. Not the jerk. Girl, run. Any man who isn't okay with you being close to your ex is a control freak and insecure. I always stay close to my exes, and I've never regretted it. Trust me, I've dated tons of guys, and the best relationships I've had were with secure men who didn't care what I did with my exes. Men need to realize we aren't their property. To be honest, I have hooked up with some of my exes on certain occasions just to spite a jealous boyfriend I had at the time, then made sure he found out to hurt him. Yowza. I know it sounds bad, but all my girlfriends do the same thing. You don't have to go as harsh as I do, but please don't settle for a loser control freak like most of these guys are nowadays. Just load the darn trailer. I used to work as quality assurance/control at a flour mill. For you to sink your teeth into your sandwich of delicious fresh bread, 3 things have to happen. 1. Flour has to be made. This happens at a flour mill. 2. Flour has to get to the bakery. This usually happens by trailer or truck. The trucking company, usually a separate company or business from the flour mill, has to put their trailer up to the scale and get loaded. Then they drive it to the bakery. 3. Bakery, where they make that high-carb goodness with crusts that your kids hate. One day, I get a call from one of the bakeries we serve. We unloaded the flour today, and our cameras got a bunch of dough balls going into the silo. Unacceptable. How can this happen? Trucks have to be washed every 3 to 4 weeks. If the trailer is not dried properly, then it retains some water from the final rinse. It mixes with the flour, creates dough, and delivers a subpar product. It causes a fermentation reaction. For some reason, since I'm quality control at the mill, everyone looked at me to fix this problem, which is really a problem with the trucking company and the wash stations they use. But I rose to the challenge. I called a meeting of the trucking company, the mill, and the bakery. I told them what was going on, explained that it was unacceptable, and came up with a plan. Before loading, every freshly washed trailer has to be inspected by me or someone else on quality control. We will not load trailers that the mill quality control does not release for loading. They all quickly agreed. Great idea. I get congratulated on fixing the problem. Until one Monday morning. We were supposed to load a trailer at 3 a.m. I was not supposed to be working then, but I came in just to inspect and sign off on the trailer. Delivery was at 7 a.m. It's a 3-hour drive to the bakery. Bob, the driver, was running late. I was getting mad, kept thinking of my bed and how I should be sleeping. Bob shows up at 3:30 a.m. with the trailer. Darn traffic, let's load this quick. Maybe I can still make it. Hold on, I have to inspect it. No, you don't. I have to make this delivery. Bob, I'm inspecting the trailer before we load it. Insults ensue. He starts making colorful accusations of my mother and my entire ancestral line. I ignore him. I climb up on top of the trailer. Soaking wet. I can see water on the bottom. The entire trailer was damp. I come down. Bob, we can't load this trailer. It's wet. You need to dry it. Drying takes about 25 to 40 minutes depending on the weather. More insults. Finally, he says, No, I'm not losing my job to bureaucrats who have no idea what traffic is like. I'm not drying this trailer. You're going to load the trailer, and I'm going to be on my way, like I've been doing for years. I was so tired, and I had a short fuse. Bob, are you going to dry the trailer? No. Malicious compliance ensues. Okay. I went to the head miller on site. I told him that the trucking company is refusing to dry the trailer. I'm not wasting any more time here. I've done my job, I inspected the trailer, I'm going home, and I'm going to sleep. I left. Bob found out I had left, and he said to loaders, Great, now you can load me up. They informed him that they couldn't load freshly washed trailers without quality signing off, and now no one is here to sign off. So sorry, you're going to miss the delivery. Bob called his boss. He complained that we were refusing to load his trailer. His boss called the head miller, who explained, per our agreement, quality couldn't sign off on a wet trailer. And since Bob refused to dry the trailer, quality's job was done. They inspected the trailer. There wasn't going to be another inspection, since the trailer was not going to be dry. So quality left. The trucking company. You need to call the bakery and tell them. They wanted the mill to take the blame. Oh, don't worry. We will be sure to call. And the head miller told the bakery what happened. The bakery fired the trucking company. Bob got fired from the trucking company. I got promoted. Just kidding, I didn't get promoted. Somehow my manager still blamed me for it. Something about using creative solutions. But nothing ever happened to me because of this incident. I don't care. No regrets. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.